You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the radio show. Nooga Radio is the station. And NoogaRadio.com is our website. How you doing, Chattanooga? I hope pretty good. It's sunny outside. The weather is fine. Nobody should be slowing down anything on the road. That's my proclamation for the day. Not that it is that you care. Now, I do have a bone to pick with national days, because national days are, and I talked a little bit about this yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever day it was that World Emoji Day was a thing that existed. And today is apparently National Hot Dog and or Ice Cream Day. I'm not actually certain which one of the two it is, but it's one of them. It's either National Hot Dog or Ice Cream Day or both. I didn't really pay attention. But who cares? Why don't we have national or world days about stuff that is useful? Right? Like there's a mental health awareness month, but like we need more stuff like that draws attention to stuff that matters. Who cares about National Ice Cream Day? What do we need to raise awareness for ice cream? Who doesn't like ice cream already? Maybe it's just silly. It's just silly. And I was going through a blog, and the I think it was For the Win, the USA Today sports blog, and they had a picture of the taco hot dog that has been presented to Miami Marlins fans as food. And let me tell you something about that hot dog. It's not food. It doesn't even look like food, right? Very often in America, we are served things that are not food, that we simply accept as food because it has a food-like appearance and a food-like shape. So you just accept it as food, right? For instance, McDonald's. You go to McDonald's or you go to Taco Bell or wherever, and you look up at the menu. The thing on the menu doesn't just look like food. It looks like great food. It looks like great food. The thing that they give you doesn't look like great food. It's barely food. But it's got a food-like shape to it, right? Like you get a taco from Taco Bell. You get a thing that looks like a taco. You get a burger from Burger King. You get a thing that looks like a burger. It has a food-like appearance. So you accept it. This taco hot dog or taco dog that they were presenting to Miami Marlins fans, I have this thing pulled up here. It is disgusting. Doesn't even have a food-like appearance to it. This thing that they are attempting to peddle off as food is not food. And I honestly cannot tell you what on earth this is, right? There is a hot dog, right? There's hot dog meat in here. There is some vaguely orangish brown sauce over the top that I assume is chili, but I don't know because I don't see anything in relation to ground beef or beans, two of the main ingredients of chili. There's jalapenos in here, some kind of rice possibly, but I can't tell. Something that may or may not be sour cream and or cheese. Again, I cannot tell. And it's given to you in the most unflattering box ever. This is not food that they are serving people, right? If you're going to celebrate a day that shouldn't be celebrated, okay, National Hot Dog Day shouldn't be celebrated. Who doesn't like hot dogs, right? We shouldn't have a national day for stuff we already like. National days originally were intended to raise awareness for stuff we don't want to talk about or stuff we don't really know about, right? Who out here does not know about hot dogs and doesn't really like them? That you can't find a person like that. You can't find them, right? Like even if they're vegetarian, there's like vegetarian hot dogs. You can't find a person that doesn't like hot dogs. You can't find a person that doesn't like ice cream. What are you talking about? We don't need national days for this stuff. But if you're going to join in on it, if you're going to spend time and serve people food. For goodness sakes, make the food. What is this? Like, I'm trying my best to describe this to you, and I don't even know how. It just looks like they put slop on a tortilla. Right? It offends both the concept of tacos and hot dogs. Right? And it's even more offensive to me because hot dogs are supposed to be American. You're serving these at a baseball game, possibly the most American sport that we have just based on age. And tacos are supposed to be Hispanic. And you're Miami, the Hispanic population is pretty high. You got a lot of Puerto Ricans. You got a lot of Cubans. You got a lot of Dominicans. And you're offending all of those people. You're offending each and every one of them. Okay? You're offending the Hispanic people. You're offending the Americans. You're offending the Hispanic Americans. You're offending the entire Venn diagram's worth of human beings whom you are trying to serve food. And could not be bothered, right? Because if you were going to take part in this National Hot Dog Day, you had to know it was coming. Could not even be bothered to give your awful-looking slop some kind of food-like appearance. That's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for the base level. When I go to McDonald's, I'm not eating a gourmet meal, and I don't care how many of those signature sandwiches they try and run out there and act like this is premier food now. They're not serving me food. And I'm aware that they're not serving me food. They're aware that they're not serving me food. But we all take part in this giant fiction because the thing that they're serving me vaguely looks like food. At least do that for people. If you're going to lie to them and say you're serving them a taco dog, make the thing look like either a taco or a hot dog and not glorp. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I got way more fired up about that than I intended. But I just can't believe that they tried to sell that to people. Can you imagine if you went to go to see the Lookouts and they gave you whatever the heck this was? Like if they gave that to you and said, here, no, eat that, I'd sue them. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. My stomach hurts looking at the thing. So, the state with the best quarterbacks in the SEC, right? Because I was reading an article on SEC Country, which is a great blog. I say this often, but it's true. I really enjoy reading it. And they had an article about Mississippi, that Mississippi is the state with the most intriguing quarterback situation. And to be fair, it is a pretty strong quarterback situation that you've got going on there in Mississippi, right? You've got Nick Fitzgerald at Mississippi State. You got Shea Patterson at Ole Miss. And the article goes on to say that the SEC needs both of these guys to play well to help boost the SEC. Now, I would argue that, yes, that's true, but I think the SEC needs all the quarterbacks to play well because every single place has a quarterback of some kind that can play. Right? And so, yeah. You need somebody who can go out there and ball for you. And in the SEC especially, I think because the down year of the SEC is in large part due to the lack of quarterbacks, the lack of quality signal callers. Because we can talk about the lack of SEC coaches, but I think the quarterback-coach relationship is a very strong relationship, and a lot of times you do as well as the quarterback connected to you, right? Which is why I've always presumed that Urban Meyer has done so well, that Urban Meyer has always found himself a quarterback that suits exactly what it is that he wants to do. Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow is one of the greatest coach-quarterback combinations of all time, right? And then what Urban Meyer was able to get out of J.T. Barrett and Cardell Jones on that one run that they made to a national title. Again, Urban Meyer, if he's gotten a quarterback who can play, and he's gotten a quarterback who's got some quality to him, then he's able to be successful. I think quarterbacks in college football get to be very, very underrated. And we're looking at the quality of coaches in the SEC, and it's like, well, you think that we have a coaching problem? Look at the people that these coaches have had to run out there as their quarterbacks, right? You're a guy like Butch Jones. I think Butch Jones lucked into Joshua Dobbs. I don't think that he necessarily planned to have Dobbs, and Dobbs kind of bailed him out, because I think Tennessee could have won more games, and I think lost some games despite the best efforts of Dobbs. I look at a guy like Jim McElwain, where people treat him like he's not a good coach, and it's like, how can you say that? The man's never had a quarterback that he could rely on, and when he has, it's a very small sample size, admittedly, but when he has, he's coached a very good football team. So I don't know that the way that we poo-poo Jim McElwain and just sort of act like he's not a good coach, or treat him like, well, we could do better. Really? With who? Who's out there that's better than him right now, that's available for you to hire? Who's out there? Right? Part of the success of Will Muschamp last year, we didn't think Will Muschamp in South Carolina were going to be very much last year. If you thought that, you're lying. But Jake Bentley boosts it. So yeah, the SEC for me is a conference that's going to be surging next year, because it's surging with quarterback talent. And I don't think that Mississippi has the best quarterback situation. I think that goes to Alabama. Alabama has Jalen Hurts, who can be a Heisman candidate this year. I think he's got to be a more accurate passer of the football, but certainly the damage that he can do with his legs is horrifying, just flat out horrifying. And he's still playing alongside a very talented, very potent, very capable defense. So Jalen Hurts to me is a guy that if I had to choose between Nick Fitzgerald, Shea Patterson, Jalen Hurts, and of course at Auburn, Jarrett Stidham, I might take Stidham and Hurts over Fitzgerald and Patterson, right? And this is to take nothing away from those guys. I just don't think that Patterson's got all the weapons that he would need this season. Thanks for nothing, Hugh Freeze. And Nick Fitzgerald is an incredibly good quarterback, but I need to see his accuracy go up. He's not the most accurate quarterback, ironically enough. He's very good, and he's got a strong arm and a good head for the game, right? Like in terms of understanding where the spaces are and going through his progressions and things like that. I think in that regard, Nick Fitzgerald is incredibly good. But if you're asking me, would I rather have Nick Fitzgerald and what he brings to the table, or Jalen Hurts and what he brings to the table, I'm going to take Jalen Hurts. And Jarrett Stidham, who we haven't seen very, very much of, but has popped into Auburn and has an array of weapons right out the gate, right? He's got a good backfield. He's got Cameron Petway already. And I've seen him play at Baylor, the 3 games that he played at Baylor or whatever, that he looks good. He looks really, really good. And you can be deceived in small sample sizes with quarterbacks, but some guys, you see it and you just know, like, that guy can really play. Jarrett Stidham can really, really play. And while Mississippi, the state, has a great quarterback situation, I don't think that they have the best quarterback situation. Right? And Tennessee would be the other state. I eliminated all the other states that don't have 2 teams in them because, I mean, that'd be ridiculous. But Tennessee, I guess we're going with Quentin Dormady at Tennessee. Butch Jones hasn't said that. He's keeping all of his information very close to his chest. But listen, Butch Jones is the single most predictable person on this earth. If there is a conservative decision to be made in a series of decisions, Butch Jones always chooses safe, or tries to. To the best of his ability, he always tries to choose safe. Butch Jones is not, and I repeat, Butch Jones is not a risk taker. That's simply not in his DNA. That's not who he is. And I think that is what hurts him the most as a coach, is that Butch Jones, if he could take a risk, he'd be brilliant. But he doesn't take risks. He's the guy that follows the chart to his own doom. Right? Butch Jones would follow rules even if the rules hurt Butch. Right? Like that's the guy that he is. He makes the safe call. That's why Tennessee offenses never open up until the second half of games. They're not aggressive. They don't take shots down the field. Never mind that they've had the entire time that Butch Jones has been here the kind of receiving talent that could allow you to take shots downfield. Not him. He's not that guy. That's simply not the way that he plays. That's not the way that he coaches. So yeah, I believe Quentin Dormady is going to be the quarterback because that's the safe pick. Right? He's the older player. And when you look at the orange and white game, he's the guy that played the most conservatively. It's him. Okay. Butch can try and hide this like it's some kind of secret. It's Dormady. Unless Dormady falls off the face of the earth, it's Dormady. And I want to hear about how it's anybody else and how it's an open job or anything else that guy's trying to peddle. It's Dormady because we know Butch already. He does not take risks. Even in his description of the quarterbacking job, he's describing a guy that's not a risk taker. I mean, Butch Jones is not a risk taker. That's just simply all that he is. Like if Butch Jones had Alabama in the national title game against Clemson 2 years ago, there's no way on earth that Butch Jones kicks that onside kick that gives Alabama the extra possession necessary to hold off Clemson. There's no way that Butch Jones does that. That is not in his DNA. I believe you need to take calculated risks in life, right? No one is saying be reckless because there's a difference. Like just because you take risks doesn't mean that you're reckless, but every time you leave your house, that's a risk, but the risk is calculated. You go to work, you make money so you can feed yourself and feed your family. So the risk is worth leaving your house, right? And people who are not capable of making those kinds of risks end up staying in their house forever and never going outside and don't have a job, right? Like that's you end up with a disorder if you're not able to make those kinds of risk assessments properly. I'm not saying that Butch Jones has a disorder, but I'm saying that a lot of times his risk aversion, his desire to not take risks of any kind has been to the detriment of the Tennessee Volunteers. This is why we don't know if we like him. That the guy's been here for 4 years. We don't know if we like him. Because he's never had that defining moment, that Butch Jones moment. He's in a big game. He's got an opportunity to put his stamp on the game, and he puts his stamp on the game. I mean, we see it all the time from Saban. We've even seen it from Gus Malzahn. We're hoping to see it from Ed Orgeron because he just seems like the kind of guy who could do it. We never had the Butch Jones moment. We've had a lot of Josh Dobbs moments. Never had a Butch Jones moment. He's been elevated by his quarterback in a way that other guys haven't. Right? Like Jim McElwain, the reverse is true. I think he's been dragged down by not having one. Right? I think that is what has held them back. They go to Atlanta and they're not competitive. They don't have a quarterback. And look at the people who have pushed Alabama last year. 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. That's what it takes to slay Alabama's defense. At least that's what it took a year ago. This defense is not as strong as that defense, in my opinion. You don't have one of those, you can't compete. Florida didn't have one of those last year. I don't know if they have one of those this year, but they have better guys. Right? So it is an improvement. You need better guys at that position. Plain and simple. And then I don't know exactly what it is that Vandy's doing at quarterback. I guess we're going Johnny McCrary on that one. Right? Like, is that where we're headed with that? It's hard to tell. Kyle Shermer. Kyle Shermer is really good, though. Kyle Shermer might be, if Jacob Eason doesn't take the leap, which I suspect he will, but if he doesn't, Kyle Shermer is, to me, the best quarterback in the East. He's really good. He's really good. I think he steps ahead of Bentley, and Jacob Eason is supposed to be a transcendent talent. And I just feel like, I know we can be wrong about this stuff, but I just don't feel like we can be that wrong about all of this stuff. Kyle Shermer pulls up Tennessee, the state, but the Dormady thing, Dormady's going to be all right. But if you had to rank the states with the best quarterback, I think you go Alabama with Hurts at Alabama and Stidham at Auburn, Fitzgerald at Miss State, Patterson at Ole Miss, and then Dormady, Tennessee, and Shermer, Vandy.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
A woman and her boyfriend went to a hardware store, and the girlfriend took a nap in the back seat while the men went shopping. She woke up from her snooze to a living nightmare. Their truck had been stolen, and she was still in the back seat. She asked the thief who he was, startling him. He pulled over and ran away. Nobody was injured, but the Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. Chattanooga cops say a juvenile woman was the victim of a rape attempt, and it was live streamed to the world over Facebook Live. The victim says she went to an apartment for drinks when she was dragged into a room and assaulted. Tazia Robertson, who's 19, was charged with filming the incident. She was charged with aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. Sherman Baldhead Hubbard, who's 21, from Dodson Avenue, was charged with attempted rape. A friend of the victim said she saw the live stream and rushed to the scene to get the victim out of there. A teenager is on the Hamilton County Sheriff's top 10 most wanted list. 18-year-old Tony Acuff is wanted on charges of attempted first-degree murder, among other felony charges. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite muggy overnight, though. Lows only falling into the lower 70s. For Thursday and Friday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Lots of sunshine. Just a slight chance of a spotty afternoon shower or storm with highs back into the lower to middle 90s. Chattanooga's best-kept secret is at Boyd Speedway. Come see the Super Late Model Showdown race this Monday night with NASCAR's Austin and Ty Dillon. For tickets and more, BoydSpeedway.net or Boyd Speedway on Facebook. And I'm Swarm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose is the show. Nooga Radio is the station. NoogaRadio.com is our website. Our phone number is 423-800-8949. That's 423-800-8949, knuckleheads. So I got to watching the Braves again because as I told you, and I told you earlier in the season, I stopped watching the Braves. Like they were hard to watch. It was disappointing baseball is the best way to, that's the kindest way to describe what that was that I was subjected to by Atlanta's baseball team. That is the kindest way to describe that, right? They were like 12 games behind the Nats in about 3 weeks into the season, it felt like. They just immediately the wheels came off the cart. And which made me feel bad because I thought the Braves were going to have a decent year. I thought they were going to be pretty good. Well, as it turns out, the Braves are pretty good. I stopped paying attention to the Braves. I followed the standings, but I didn't watch the games anymore. So I've been watching them play again because, they're around 500, right? I mean, they're getting beat up by the Cubs, but the Cubs are pretty hot right now. Who isn't getting beaten up by the Cubs? And the Braves are playing watchable baseball. They are a decent, good baseball team. Right? Again, you're in this series with the Cubs. They lost 5-1 yesterday. They lost 4-3 the day before. But, I mean, the offense is showing signs of life. I thought that the fielding has improved greatly. The defense has just greatly improved. And we are starting to see the Braves get a little bit more out of that pitching. I would posit, though, that the bullpen is horrendous. And I would also posit that Julio Teheran, is there a way that we can get this man checked? Because I have never seen a guy, and I mean never, and I'm not exaggerating, possibly because I've just not watched nearly enough baseball over the course of my whole life. I have never seen a starting pitcher, an ace, right? And we have to agree that Julio Teheran, whether or not he is of ace quality, he is the ace of this team. He is the best pitcher that the Atlanta Braves have. Julio Teheran cannot pitch at home. Every time he is in SunTrust, I am watching some other team just go yard. Can we get him to not pitch at home? Like, can we just pitch Julio on the road? Because on the road, he's fine. The splits between home and road continue to diverge with Julio Teheran in a way that makes sense. And honestly, at this point, seems statistically improbable. Did we build SunTrust Park on a Native American burial ground? Like, did we get cursed somehow? Is there a Braves curse that we're not aware of? Like our own Bambino curse that we're not being told about? Because ever since the Braves have been in SunTrust, has Julio won a game? Does Julio have a single W in that park? Because it's gotten bad to the point where it feels inevitable that Julio Teheran is going to struggle. It feels like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. It feels like he can't get out of his own head at this point. This is beyond a case of the yips. I mean, the guy is just being taken to task. He loses close games. He loses in blowouts every time. It is tough to watch. And I know that we've talked about this before, that like pitching rotations in baseball are like basketball teams. There is a player that if he is your best player, you are in trouble. But if he's your second best player, you're good. Right? For instance, Kevin Love cannot be the best player on your basketball team. He simply can't. Not because he's not talented, not because he's not good. Just there's no way to design a team that has any vertical mobility if Kevin Love is the best player. But if Kevin Love is your second best player, if Kevin Love is your third best player, you've got a really good basketball team. Julio Teheran cannot be the best pitcher in your rotation. He can't. Because if Julio Teheran is the best pitcher in your rotation, you've got a bad rotation. If he's the second best pitcher, if Julio Teheran is your second banana, you're good. You're good. That's a good baseball team. At least a good pitching rotation, at least. I don't know what it is with that guy. But it's good to see the Braves playing good, solid, competitive baseball and hanging around 500 like I thought that they could be. But can you imagine a situation where if they started the season around 500, that they might actually be above 500 right now? Because I can imagine that situation having happened. It's kind of a missed opportunity there. Also, I'm a really big fan of Freddie Freeman on first. He's been playing really well on first. I was very skeptical of it. He said he wanted to play there. They did need to do something about it. But yeah, that transition to first base for Freddie Freeman has worked out pretty well for the Braves and for him. And he's playing solidly. Like, it's not great. And I think that there's some miscommunications that still happen A couple days ago, there was a throw that went over his head, and it wasn't his fault, but I just don't know if that was just a misjudge of like how high Freddie Freeman can actually jump or whatever it is. There's some things that need to be ironed out about that, but Freddie Freeman on first base, which he hasn't played in forever, that's a good transition. I like the transition. It's working out pretty well. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I have some NBA news. One is that the NBA is trying its absolute best to be soccer. And that's fine. That's a good thing to be. If you want to make money, being soccer is not a bad thing to be, right? Because it gives you that international appeal. And the international appeal is the thing that the NBA has, that it lords over the NFL constantly, because people play basketball in other countries. People play basketball in South America, and people play basketball in Europe, and people play basketball in Russia. People play basketball all around the world. People do not play football all around the world. Well, not American football anyway. They don't play it all around the world because it's not an accessible sport. It's hard to understand. You need a lot of equipment to play it. I mean, it's just not an accessible sport. People play baseball everywhere. People play basketball everywhere. People play soccer everywhere. Nobody plays football anywhere. So the NBA is just doubling down on this whole international appeal thing, which I'm not going to lie, isn't a bad idea. And so like they're getting rid of the home and road uniforms. And I think in an attempt to make these jerseys more like soccer kits, which is what they call the soccer uniforms, call them kits. And so you've got two uniform colors basically, and the home team will choose one color, and then the road team will choose a contrasting color, and the home team can choose whatever color they want. It's not necessarily a dark colored uniform if you're home and light colored uniform if you're on the road, which I think is kind of cool. And anyway, the NBA needs to capitalize on the other thing that it lords over the NFL, which is that we think their jerseys are cooler inherently. So the NBA is doubling down on both of these things. And with this change in jerseys for the NBA, which I am for, I am pro progression here. And we've got Nike coming in and doing the uniform. So I'm just interested in seeing how all of this is going to change. And I hope my team's uniforms don't stink. But I am pro change when it comes to a lot of this stuff, because I think we don't know how it's going to go over and what it's going to be like and if we're going to like it until we see it happen, right? Like if we see it happen and we don't like it, then go ahead and revolt. But I'm not going to sit here and cry foul over something that I haven't seen play out yet, right? So I'm not particularly worried. It's just jerseys. I show up to basketball games for the basketball. But the thing that I will flip out over is ads on uniforms, right? And a lot of teams were announcing that, yeah, we're not going to have ads on our uniforms next year. And I'm like, well, if you've got to announce that you don't have ads on your uniform, that means somebody's showing up somewhere with ads on their uniform. And I don't want ads on the uniform, right? Now, I'm going to contextualize that. I don't want the uniform to be an ad. I don't mind an ad on the uniform, right? The NBA experimented with it during the All-Star game this last year. They put the little Kia logo on the top left corner of the jersey, like right above the left breast area on the jersey. I don't mind that. Like I saw that and I was like, it's not bothersome enough for me. If I saw that, and I'm a Wizards fan, if I saw that and I still saw Wizards in big letters up front, my problem is where the Wizards part gets smaller and the ad part gets bigger. That I don't want. And I don't want to dabble in ads on jerseys, because it's a matter of how much more can they add? If you let them add one advertisement on a jersey, how many more will wind up there, or how much bigger will it get eventually? To me, it feels like a slippery slope. And I like American sports jerseys because those jerseys have always been about the teams. These teams have the colors don't change, right? Even if a team's jersey becomes a hideous caricature of itself, it's still somewhere in the ballpark of we are a team that's we traffic in these colors. This is what our team is about. I like the colors of my team. I hate the colors of my rivals. I am not interested in seeing an advertiser across the chest of anybody I am rooting for or against. And I'm a guy who's okay with some advertising on jerseys, but then I need to see less commercials too. Like, that's the other thing. I will allow for the slippery slope. If there are fewer commercials, I do not want to see ads on everything and then watch commercials endlessly. This is the thing about soccer that I can appreciate, because I have been trying to follow, to the best of my ability, the English Premier League. And so I've been watching the Tottenham Hotspurs. That's the team that I've chosen because I like to suffer in sports. And that's a team that I'm aware of, that they are pretty good, but they don't actually ever make it over the hump, which is exactly the kind of team that I root for. So I started rooting for them. And yeah, okay, their jersey is a walking ad, like every other jersey in the English Premier League. But the difference there is that when I sit down and watch a soccer game, 45 uninterrupted minutes of soccer I get to see. Then I watch a halftime, some commercials during halftime, and then 45 more uninterrupted minutes of soccer that I get to see. I don't get to sit down and watch commercial and commercial and commercial. Like, I would want the NFL to have ads on jerseys if there were fewer commercials. Like, get rid of half of them. We don't need them. It just stops the game. It wastes the time. You know, I watch a football game. It takes me 4 hours to watch the game. I've gone into my room to watch the game. My girlfriend thinks I've died. I mean, we don't need all of that. If you get rid of the commercials, I will spring for ads. But until then, keep the ads off my jerseys. I don't want them. That's the first bit of NBA news. The NBA is trying to go international and be more like soccer. And look, if they're going to be more like soccer and reduce those commercials, honestly, Adam Silver, so far as I'm concerned, can do whatever he wants. Adam Silver so far can do no wrong by me. I think he's done a pretty spot-on job already. But if he reduces commercials, yeah, I'm okay with that. The other bit of NBA news, of course, involves LeBron James, because anytime you say I have some NBA news, it is a bunch of sports stories and then one that has LeBron James in it. In fact, they could all be LeBron James stories. But the word on the street is that LeBron James has already made up his mind that he's leaving Cleveland, which I don't think is a shock or a surprise to anybody. That team is being poorly run by Dan Gilbert, whom LeBron hates. LeBron hates Dan Gilbert. And this team is looking less and less like it has a chance to win a title. And if we know anything about LeBron James, this is the phase in his career where he is all about titles. And in fact, no matter what LeBron does now, he wins. He took the beating early in his career, right? Like, he went to Miami when everyone wanted him to stay in Cleveland, and he wins as a result of that. He took the beating early, so now if he leaves Cleveland, who cares? He got him a title. He promised him a title. He got him a title. If he stays in Cleveland, then it's LeBron sticking around, and that's his legacy. That the second time he chose to stay. Except that LeBron James hates Dan Gilbert. So I don't think he's going to stay. I don't think he's going to wind up in LA. I just think that LeBron James is too smart to go to the Western Conference. When the Western Conference is this loaded, he'll probably go to some team in the East that's got a couple good players on it already, and then a ton of cap space, and work from there, and then bring all his buddies. I think that's what he's more likely to do. Just stick in the easy Eastern Conference, waltz your way to an NBA Finals, and then try and win it that way. Going to the Lakers doesn't make any sense, because you're going to fight and struggle against everyone in the Western Conference all year. Struggle through that murderer's row of a postseason that they have over there out west, and then try and find your way in the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. Right? At least if LeBron James stays in the East, he can keep going to finals. And in his legacy, sure, he may have lost a bunch of finals, but who can say they've gone to that many finals in a row? Like, that streak will still be legendary years and years and years later. So I don't have any issue with LeBron going to LA. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But LeBron James already got himself out the door. And the only thing that I can think to say is that I have to blame Dan Gilbert. I have to blame him, because how do you screw this up royally? How do you handle this any worse? The guy that wants to play in your city, maybe he doesn't want to play for you because he doesn't like you, but the guy that wants to play in your city is the guy who is considered the best basketball player walking this earth. And he has proven this many, many times over and over and over again. You have the inside track on keeping him in Cleveland because he loves Cleveland. And nobody in the history of the world has ever said that they love Cleveland other than LeBron. So with that said, how is it possible that you have an inside track on the guy and you can't manage to do any of the things that he likes? Dan Gilbert is really bad at having LeBron. And it's crazy to me because rich, powerful owners are at the very, very least really good at getting in tune with the best player on their team. You look at Mark Cuban's relationship with Dirk Nowitzki as an example. The Buss family and Kobe Bryant as another example. Teams are at least really good at coddling their superstars. Not Dan Gilbert. Like, Dan Gilbert can really not ever get on the same page as LeBron James. Wants to run the basketball team and is seemingly running it into the ground. You get rid of the general manager while Paul George is still in play. So now you have no Paul George. Right? Because from what I understand, the deal was actually very close to being done. Kevin Love for Paul George. And then, Cleveland didn't have a general manager anymore. And Kevin Pritchard and the Pacers backed out of the deal because general managers work with each other. They make deals for each other. It's all about relationships. That's, you do a good turn for somebody else and they do a good turn for you later, maybe. That's all built into the job of being a general manager that Dan Gilbert is clearly not aware of or good at because that's not his job, right? Your job is to be the founder of Quicken Loans and to own the Cavaliers. That's it. That's your job. Don't try and do any other jobs. Don't try and do anything else. Don't try and be a general manager. Don't try and be a president of basketball operations. Don't try and be the coach. Don't try and be any of that other stuff. Be the owner of the team. How many times have we seen tampering owners ruin teams and teams not get better until they back up? Dan Snyder and the Washington Redskins. Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys. We see it over and over and over again. Back up. Right? Just let it go. Hire somebody to run the team and then let them run the team. I guarantee you, if Dan Gilbert did anything involving that, or at least attempted to replace David Griffin with anybody, even if that person had a fake, phony title of general manager, he'd be on better terms with LeBron James right now. Except LeBron does not know exactly what the future of this team is. And when LeBron doesn't know what the future of a team is, then LeBron makes it to the point where you don't know what the future of LeBron is. That's what he does. He obscures things so that he can have leverage. And Kevin Durant made it very popular and very easy to just sort of go wherever you want. Like we had to forgive Kevin Durant for his crime of trying to play good basketball because he won, that he was vindicated with a ring. So yeah, now you can just go wherever you want. We assume LeBron's going to have a chance at one, so why not? Clutch with Keon Rolls on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM here on Nooga Radio, noogaradio.com.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Overlook Benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
The Homeschool Expo is just ahead. It's the biggest education event of the year. It's going to be Saturday, July 21st and 22nd. There's going to be dozens of workshops. There's going to be 70 exhibitors. There's going to be math, writing, software, books, colleges, history, free personal advice. You name it, we've got it. Go to cstea.org to learn more. That's csthea.org.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation, let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic that is not on county or city sewer to have an inspection done by a qualified professional. It'd be great if nobody did inspections on them for all plumbing companies. That's what we do to make a living. Not to scare anyone, but it should be in the back of your mind. The danger is the field lines failing and costing thousands upon thousands of dollars and tearing your yard up. By preventative maintenance, you're saving yourself a large headache that may displace yourself and your family. That happens more often than you think. The waste is designed to stay in the tank, and that waste will build up over time. Even with treatment, we have to help that waste break down. Ultimately, preventative maintenance is the key that will keep you from spending $5,000 to $10,000 on replacing your septic system. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road.
Call Ray at Ray's Plumbing, 421-6341, 421-6341.
My name is Trevor Atchley. I'm an attorney here with the law firm McCoon, Williams, Atchley, and Stanley. We have a show on Nooga Radio called Legal Bites, where we discuss legal topics of interest to our listeners: estate planning, business formation, and business transactions. Legal Bites, 11 a.m. on Wednesday.
The Homeschool Expo is just ahead. It's the biggest education event of the year. It's going to be Saturday, July 21st and 22nd. There's going to be dozens of workshops. There's going to be 70 exhibitors. There's going to be math, writing, software, books, colleges, history, free personal advice. You name it, we've got it. Go to cstea.org to learn more. That's csthea.org.
Hi, this is Nadia behind the green door. You've had ice cream and you've had shaved ice, but have you had snow cream? It is amazing. It's light, airy, fruity snowflakes melting on your tongue. You need to come and see us. Highway 58, green door next to Hardee's.
Does your business have enough clients? Are you confused about how to stand out in today's saturated social media market? Do you feel lost trying to navigate the maze of marketing channels which are necessary in today's marketplace? Are you fed up with spending your time and money on employees who don't perform and marketing strategies that don't produce? Then you need Cindy's Choice. Cindy will solve your marketing problems with their innovative shared marketing management concept that will allow your business to have the benefits of a full-time employee that is actually out building relationships in the community on behalf of your brand. Cindy's low monthly rate includes advertising, employee management, public relations, and creative marketing strategies that produce. Cindy can bring this all to you at a rate lower than most advertising campaigns and for much less than the cost of hiring a marketing employee. Cindy's Choice is your trusted source, and Cindy will manage it all for you.
Hi, I'm Cindy. I focus on the prospects so you can focus on the projects. Call me at 423-661-4445. That's 423-661-4445. So you can become Cindy's Choice.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee! Great horny toads, I'm up north. Gotta burn my boots. They touched Yankee soil. Lay down your arms and step forward, Yankee!
What's the hassle, schmassel?
My orders from General Lee is to hold the Macy-Dixie line, and no Yankees are crossing it.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7
WLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga, WSDT Saudi Daisy Chattanooga.
We've got new numbers on a health care repeal, and the push to do something in action is not an option. The travel ban gets tweaked.
The justices gave a victory really to both sides.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. The diagnosis on health care repeal is pushed by the Senate is out. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office has issued its score and estimates that this would mean 32 million more uninsured Americans by 2026. And the CBO concludes that by then, health care insurance premiums would double from what they are now. They'd rise 25% next year alone. CBS News political director Steve Chigueras with his take on the CBO score and more.
I don't think it has that much of an effect on whether or not Republicans will vote on the motion to proceed. If they're already against it, they're going to be against it. If they're on the fence, McConnell can tell them, look, you can change this bill once the bill hits the floor, and these numbers won't really mean anything.
At the White House today, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
We just had a great lunch with the president.
Over lunch, the president gave Senate Republicans a public talking to.
You know, for 7 years, you had an easy route. We'll repeal, we'll replace, and he's never going to sign it. But I'm signing it.
Leaders intend to call a procedural vote next week to proceed to the repeal bill. It seems destined to fail. But Mr. Trump says the Senate shouldn't go on recess next month unless the health care bill passes.
We shouldn't leave town until this is complete, until this bill is on my desk.
Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, the White House.
Mitch McConnell said after that meeting with President Trump,
I think we all agree it's better to both repeal and replace. But we could have a vote on either. And if we end up voting on repeal only, it will be fully amendable on the Senate floor.
Favoring improvements, not repeal, of the Affordable Health Care Act. New York Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer.
I hope they work with us to do what's right for the American people.
Mark your calendar. Presidential son-in-law Jared Kushner has been asked to go before the Senate Intelligence Committee on Monday, looking into Russian election meddling. And also, Donald Trump Jr. and former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort are requested to appear before the Senate Judiciary Committee a week from today. Some of the Trump travel ban will change after a ruling from the Supreme Court, as CBS senior legal analyst Andrew Cohen explains.
The administration wanted grandparents removed from the list of acceptable family members, and the justices refused to do that. But the court did block another part of the lower court order that gave other refugees more rights to enter. So both elements now go back to the 9th U.S. Circuit Court for a full vetting, and then probably back to the justices in Washington.
Wall Street, the Dow closed up 66. Record high for the NASDAQ at 63.85 after a gain of 40. S&P also set a record, up a fraction today, finishing at 24.73. Now this.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%. APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
In 1976, a Minnesota teen called his mother during the summer, said he was in Chicago. Now remains of that teenager have been identified with DNA testing as a victim of the late serial killer John Wayne Gacy.
We are announcing that we have identified one more of the original 8. The young man who we were able to identify through a lot of hard work was a young boy named Jimmy Hawkinson.
Cook County Sheriff Tom Dart. That body had been discovered in a crawl space under Gacy's home near Chicago. West of Yosemite National Park in Northern California, more than 70 square miles have been blackened by a wildfire. Though campgrounds remain open at Yosemite and the flames seem to be moving away from the park, Cal Fire Captain Jerry Fernandez says
there's roughly in the neighborhood of about 5,000 homes in the area of the fire that are threatened.
As one resident evacuated from the area around Mariposa, California, he said the sky had so much ash in it that you couldn't even see the
traffic,
sun.
news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240. Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
A woman and her boyfriend went to a hardware store, and the girlfriend took a nap in the back seat while the men went shopping. She woke up from her snooze to a living nightmare. Their truck had been stolen, and she was still in the back seat. She asked the thief who he was, startling him. He pulled over and ran away. Nobody was injured, but the Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. Chattanooga cops say a juvenile woman was the victim of a rape attempt, and it was live streamed to the world over Facebook Live. The victim says she went to an apartment for drinks when she was dragged into a room and assaulted. Tazia Robertson, who's 19, was charged with filming the incident. She was charged with aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. Sherman Baldhead Hubbard, who's 21 from Dodson Avenue, was charged with attempted rape. A friend of the victim said she saw the live stream and rushed to the scene to get the victim out of there. A teenager is on the Hamilton County Sheriff's top 10 most wanted list. 18-year-old Tony Acuff is wanted on charges of attempted first-degree murder, among other felony charges. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite muggy overnight, though. Lows only falling into the lower 70s. For Thursday and Friday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Lots of sunshine. Just a slight chance of a spotty afternoon shower or storm with highs back into the lower to middle 90s. Chattanooga's best-kept secret is at Boyd Speedway. Come see the Super Late Model Showdown race this Monday night with NASCAR's Austin and Ty Dillon. For tickets and more, BoydSpeedway.net or Boyd Speedway on Facebook. And I'm Swarsheen 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
He's doled out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, cash, cash. We interrupt this commercial to bring you an important announcement. We're so close to Rick Davis' national TV show. July 28th, reaching over 80 million people nationally and internationally. Check your local listing for airtimes. July 28th, Rick Davis hasn't gone Hollywood. He's gone Chattanoogan. And Hollywood loves it. And so will you. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds debut show. See Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds Brainerd Road now. The autographs are free.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. That's the show. Nooga Radio, that's the station. And NoogaRadio.com. That is our website where you'll get access to all of our social media, our Facebook, our Twitter, and our YouTube. Head to NoogaRadio.com. You can stream all of our programming live and free of charge. That is our gift to you. I was reading an article on CBSSports.com, and it's deeply fascinating. And I hate to bring this up because it does go into Matt Ryan and the Super Bowl loss that the Falcons had last year and sort of breaking down the Super Bowl, the anatomy of the Super Bowl from Matt Ryan's point of view, which is why it's so interesting because, I mean, I wouldn't ask you to dive into this one more time, but we have so many questions, right? Because there is a series of plays where the Falcons got very pass happy and didn't go to the running game, didn't stick to the ground, didn't try and run the clock out. And the Patriots were able to come back into a game that they were down 28-3. They had the New England Patriots dead to rights and somehow managed to lose that game in what is, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others, the worst Super Bowl loss in the history of Super Bowls. Right? You've got a team down 28-3 at halftime. There is no way you are supposed to lose. And there's some interesting quotes in the article, including one quote from Matt Ryan where he said, we made the play to win the Super Bowl to Julio. And he's referring to the 2nd and 8 from the Patriots 49 where he threw that pass to Julio Jones. And Julio Jones made that unreal toe-tapping catch to keep his feet down while somehow grabbing the ball out of bounds and keeping in control of his body. And it was crazy, right? Like it was a 27-yard gain. And there was 4:40 left in the game. The Falcons could have kicked a field goal at that point, right? They would have made their lead an 11-point lead, and the Patriots would not have been able to catch up. Instead, the Falcons run the ball twice to Devontae Freeman. They lose a yard, and then they decide to pass, right? And that's when the sack happened that resulted in a fumble that gave the Patriots the ball. Well, it didn't result in a fumble, but it knocked them out of field goal range. And that there is the moment where the Falcons had a chance to seal the game. Okay? And a lot of people have a lot of questions about that moment, which is why it's really great to have Matt Ryan's point of view on this, because people wanted to know, okay, well, Kyle Shanahan obviously called a bad play, but what about you? Why didn't you audible? Why didn't you change the play at the line to a run if you felt like a pass wasn't going to work? And Matt Ryan describes it as this. He said, Kyle calls the plays and he takes time to get stuff in. As we're getting it, you're looking at the clock and you're taking 16 seconds before it cuts out. You don't have a lot of time to say there's 16 seconds. No. We're not going to do that. Hey, guys, we're going to line up and run this. You're talking about breaking the huddle at 7 seconds if you do something along those lines. With the way Kyle's system was set up, he took more time to call plays, and we shift in motion a lot more than we did. You couldn't get off stuff like that. We talk about being the most aggressive team in football, and I'm all for it, but there's also winning time. You're not being aggressive by not running the ball there, which I think we can all agree. And look, this is a Kyle Shanahan staple, okay? I don't think Falcons fans had Kyle Shanahan as their offensive coordinator long enough to really realize this, but it's okay. I'm a Redskins fan, and Kyle Shanahan was our offensive coordinator for a while. And Kyle Shanahan did stuff like this frequently, and it's my one big criticism of Kyle Shanahan, because I think offensively the guy's brilliant. I think he's incredibly intelligent. And overall, if you have to choose a guy to run your offense in the league, he would be one of the guys. He would. He absolutely would. I think the 49ers are going to love having him as their head coach. And hopefully Kyle Shanahan has learned from this Super Bowl experience, because Kyle Shanahan is a guy that will fall in love with the passing game. You are passing the ball well. You're moving the ball up and down the field, and he falls in love with that, and he forgets the fundamentals of football, which is when your lead is big, you run the ball. The clock is their enemy and your friend. Use your ally. And he didn't do it. He didn't do it, and he cost the Falcons the game. And in no way does that fall on the shoulders of Matt Ryan, who is a guy that we're questioning whether or not Matt Ryan is an elite quarterback. And I think that that is incredibly unfair. He is obviously an elite quarterback. Yes, he has the weapons. Yes, he was in a system that allowed for him to take advantage of those weapons. But in no way is this somehow the fault of Matt Ryan, who, by the way, averaged 338 yards a game during that playoff run. No interceptions, right? He had thrown for 230 some odd yards in that game, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Matt Ryan played about as well as a guy could have played under in those circumstances, and I think it is strange that somehow he's catching any of this blame whatsoever. Even on the play where he ended up getting sacked, it's weird to blame Matt Ryan, in large part because Alex Mack, their center, he was dinged up, right? And then Devontae Freeman missed the block. Like, Matt Ryan did everything he was supposed to do. He even found his open receiver and was about to complete the pass. But he's also not a psychic, right? If your running back misses a block, you're in danger. Kyle Shanahan should never have called a passing play there. And it's funny because I had some friends talking about Kyle Shanahan and his effect on Matt Ryan, some of my Redskins buddies, and we were talking about it. And I had a friend that was like, so when is Kyle Shanahan going to turn Matt Ryan like all the way bad? Because we've seen the Kyle Shanahan thing where he's with quarterbacks, and if you fit his system, you fit his system, and if you don't, you don't. But as it turns out, Matt Ryan did fit the system. Little did we know the moment when Kyle Shanahan was going to turn Matt Ryan all the way bad was in the biggest moment of the Super Bowl. So yeah, Dan Quinn learned as a head coach. He wanted to override that, but he let Kyle Shanahan call the play. He should have overrode that. And there was no time for Matt to go out there and call an audible or change a play at the line, because the play took so long to come in the first place and use so much of the play clock to begin with that they needed to go ahead and run the play. Otherwise, you risk breaking the structure, and you don't want to waste the timeout over it, right? So that seems to me to just be some structural problems. That seems to me to be some managerial problems. That's not a Matt Ryan problem, right? And he's still one of the top quarterbacks in this league, and he still has all the same weapons that he had last year. He's going to be fine. That team is going to be fine. And Steve Sarkisian is a guy that he comes from that same Kyle Shanahan mold. We're passing the ball, we're up-tempo, we're offense, and I think he's a little bit more creative than Kyle too. But we'll see how that all plays out. But I just thought that was a really interesting article. It's over on CBSSports.com. It is Matt Ryan explains exactly what happened in the Falcons Super Bowl collapse is what the article is called, and it is written by Pete Prisco, who is a great writer. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, and I have some news regarding the Tennessee Titans. Sort of, right? Mostly it actually involves the San Diego Chargers and wide receiver Mike Williams, who they drafted from Clemson. He's a wide receiver that a lot of people liked, very highly rated. Well, Mike Williams, today, it was reported, had season-ending back surgery before the season, which is not what you want to see out of a rookie in any kind of way. And I don't know, by the way, how it is that the Chargers keep finding all these guys that just are injured before the season starts. But for them, this has to be devastating, because one of the reasons why they drafted Mike Williams was they wanted to draft a guy that came in right away, was a weapon for Phillip Rivers, and was able to compete right off the bat. Like, that was something that was a huge thing for him, and now he's not going to be able to play for the rest of this season, and Phillip Rivers ain't getting any younger. But the reason why this relates to the Tennessee Titans is because the Titans were criticized very heavily. They had the number 5 overall pick in the draft, and they decided to draft Corey Davis from Western Michigan, which does seem to be something of a riskier pick. right? Corey Davis is a guy, he played at Western Michigan, which is a small school. He has some hand problems as well, had some drops of passes that he really should have held on to. And John Robinson and the Titans were heavily criticized for this pick. Just how could you do it when Michael Williams was on the board? And how could you make this draft pick as John Ross? And we don't know that John Ross is going to turn out to be, by the way, a healthy wide receiver. He's a small guy in the same build as Deshaun Jackson, who is also always hurt. So it's now we have the drafting of John Ross was in some way a layup, right? Corey Davis is, to me, every bit as risky as drafting John Ross. And the only player that I would have said at that position that was a slam dunk would have been Mike Williams. And the reason why I'm going to give the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to give John Robinson a lot of credit for drafting Corey Davis over Mike Williams is that a lot of people are reporting that Mike Williams actually might have injured himself during the NFL draft combine or his pro day at some point and was able to disguise the injury well enough so that his draft stock was not affected in any way. Which is incredibly smart on the part of Mike Williams. I mean, I would do it too. I mean, you hide it. No one's going to try and cost themselves money over surgery. But at the same time, boy, the Titans dodged a bullet there. And I'm going to give them credit because I don't know what they knew. I don't know what they didn't know. But when you're scouting people, all of this stuff does come up for you if you're worried, if you're scared about a guy and his injury history, which Mike Williams does have. He did get injured not last season, but the season before at Clemson, and it was a neck injury, I believe. So he has an injury history in a scary part of the body to be injured in the first place. To pass on a guy like that and go on a risk with Corey Davis, whose only real problem is that he doesn't catch the ball consistently, which is coachable, by the way. He doesn't have the injury problems. He's got a good size on him, so he's not like John Ross, who can develop injury problems, especially in the NFL, which is just going to be brutal for him. He's a little guy. Fast guy, little guy, though. I would still have taken John Ross over Corey Davis if it was me. But I'm going to give the credit to the Tennessee Titans and that organization for sniffing out something possibly being wrong and avoiding a draft pick that for them could be disastrous, because this is a crucial season for Marcus Mariota. This is a crucial season for that entire offense. And the one thing we have always wanted for the Titans offense since John Robinson became the GM, since they've drafted Marcus Mariota, is can we get this guy some help? Mariota's so talented and he's so good. But you look at his receivers and you're like, Like, I played a lot of fantasy football last year, and I think in 2 of my leagues I had Delaney Walker. You know why I had Delaney Walker? Because Delaney Walker is going to get you crazy points every week because Marcus has no wide receivers to throw to. None. No wide receivers whatsoever. And, yeah, Delaney Walker. That's his option. Aging Delaney Walker. So, yeah, getting him a big-time wide receiver, which Corey Davis is, which Corey Davis has size. He's got speed. And, yeah, you could talk about how he was fast for a Division II guy. But Corey Davis was just fast. Like, you saw his pro day. Corey Davis is just fast, right? And he's got a big body, big frame. I think he's 6'4", 6'5". I mean, you know, that's a good draft pick. It's a good draft pick, and it's looking better all the time. With that said, I wish a speedy recovery to Mike Williams. I don't wish injury on anybody. Right? Like, not to be callous of the fact that, yeah, a guy got hurt and needs back surgery. And back surgery, to me, is the worst surgery to get early in your career. Like, anytime you have back problems, they say you ought to rehab the back. Rehab the back, because once you get surgery, your back will never be the same. And this is a young guy. This is a rookie already having back surgery. Like, Mike Williams is not ever going to be the same. Like, this has long-term ramifications for all the teams that could have drafted Mike Williams and did not draft Mike Williams, which is to say that they have, that at least the Titans have a long-term piece at the same position that he plays. So they lucked out a lot. And John Robinson hits again. John Robinson has been nothing short of automatic as GM of this team. Right? Like, I could sing the praises of John Robinson all the time. Like, the only thing that John Robinson has done that I do not like is Mike Mularkey is the head coach. And that's not even the worst thing ever. That's not even the worst thing ever. Mike Mularkey is a super conservative head coach, not at all interested in opening up his offense. He's trying to play football like it's 1997. This is how Mike Mularkey likes football. And even Mularkey has been open to inviting elements of the spread into his offense, into using a little bit of read option here and there. I still don't like that he forces Marcus Mariota to stand under center. It's not his game. It's not his game, and it's not the NFL's game anymore. Yeah, NFL quarterbacks, you've got to be able to play under center, but NFL quarterbacks are playing under center less and less as the years go on, and you're asking your quarterback that did not play under center in college and has been slowly acclimating to the NFL in that regard to play more under center, which the rest of the league is not doing. It's just nonsensical to me. It's just nonsensical. But he has gone to the exotic smash mouth, which is to say that he's incorporated a lot of elements that I think that Mike Mularkey would typically try to run away from. So you got to give him that credit, at least. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Kevin Sumlin. He's fired, isn't he? Like, he's just not coming back. There's no reason to believe that Kevin Sumlin is coming back next year, right? He's been given by his athletic director a short leash. Now, when your athletic director comes out and publicly says, quote, Coach Sumlin knows he has to win. He has to win this year. He has to do better than he has done in the past. And he said this on the Paul Feinbaum show. So he said this on a national radio show on May 30th. What does do better look like for Kevin Sumlin? Because Kevin Sumlin's been winning about 8 games a year for the last 3 years. A&M starts off hot and then they collapse halfway through the season, and then that's about the end of that. They start off hot and then they collapse. What does do better mean? Does it mean that they start off stronger? Does it mean that they sustain their seasons better? Or does it simply mean win more than 8 games? Because if it means win more than 8 games, mathematically, this is impossible for Kevin Sumlin. It is impossible. His quarterback is Kellen Mond. And no disrespect to Kellen Mond, who is a good guy, I am sure. But Kellen Mond is a blank face at quarterback, right? Kellen Mond he doesn't stand out in any way, right? He has the potential to probably be a really good game manager, but he's not winning any games for you. And this is how Texas A&M has been designed since Kevin Sumlin has been there. Is he needs a guy that wins games for you. That's how his teams are constructed. That's the reason why they did so well under Johnny Manziel. What, you thought Kevin Sumlin was running out a great game plan? No, Johnny Manziel was running around making up stuff and winning them football games. And last year, they had a guy who could do it too in Trevor Knight. Not consistently. Trevor Knight is kind of up and down, and it is hard for him, I think, to consistently give you top-flight performances. But Trevor Knight was a good quarterback, and certainly as good a quarterback as Kevin Sumlin was going to attract to that school, and he was not able to do it with Johnny Football, and he was not able to do it with Trevor Knight. What on earth made anybody think that it was going to happen with Kellen Mond? It's not about to happen with Kellen Mond. Texas A&M is in so much trouble, and not A&M really, because they were looking to fire Kevin Sumlin, just really looking for a reason. If Kevin Sumlin does not win 9 to 10 games this year, and I'm not even going to say 9. I don't think 9's good enough anymore. If he doesn't win 10, doesn't really push Alabama, doesn't beat LSU, doesn't beat Auburn, he's gone. Sayonara, Kevin Sumlin. And here's the kicker. Here's the part that is the most tragic part of this entire story, of this whole shebang. If Kevin Sumlin wins 10 games, he might still be gone. Because there are coaches out there that Texas A&M covets, and they are not willing to hold on to Kevin Sumlin if any of those guys become free. I mean, Kevin Sumlin is actually in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If he doesn't win, he's gone. And I mean, win a lot of games, 10, 11 games. If he doesn't do it, he's gone. If he does do it, he might be gone anyway. And that to me is where it gets to be a little unfair. Right now, Kevin Sumlin is simply coaching to collect a paycheck, which means he's joining Hugh Freeze as a guy who's just coaching just to do it. Flex with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. What do we got coming up? Scientists have ruined my childhood. Next.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news. Now.
A woman and her boyfriend went to a hardware store, and the girlfriend took a nap in the back seat while the men went shopping. She woke up from her snooze to a living nightmare. Their truck had been stolen, and she was still in the back seat. She asked the thief who he was, startling him. He pulled over and ran away. Nobody was injured, but the Violent Crimes Bureau is investigating. Chattanooga cops say a juvenile woman was the victim of a rape attempt, and it was live streamed to the world over Facebook Live. The victim says she went to an apartment for drinks when she was dragged into a room and assaulted. Tazia Robertson, who's 19, was charged with filming the incident. She was charged with aggravated sexual exploitation of a minor. Sherman Baldhead Hubbard, who's 21, from Dodson Avenue, was charged with attempted rape. A friend of the victim said she saw the live stream and rushed to the scene to get the victim out of there. A teenager is on the Hamilton County Sheriff's top 10 most wanted list. 18-year-old Tony Acuff is wanted on charges of attempted first-degree murder, among other felony charges. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Quite muggy overnight, though. Lows only falling into the lower 70s. For Thursday and Friday, more heat, haze, and humidity. Lots of sunshine. Just a slight chance of a spotty afternoon shower or storm with highs back into the lower to middle 90s. Chattanooga's best-kept secret is at Boyd Speedway. Come see the Super Late Model Showdown race this Monday night with NASCAR's Austin and Ty Dillon. For tickets and more, BoydSpeedway.net or Boyd Speedway on Facebook. And I'm Swarm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
Hi, I'm David Crockett, and I'm here with David Tulis, and we're having a little discussion over who's the number one Nooga centrist. If you want to keep up with free market ideas, then read Nooganomics.com. David Tulis, the blogger with the biggest pen.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Yep, science has ruined my childhood. We'll talk about that in a little bit. You're listening to AM 1240 on 92.7 FM. Watch with Keon Rose here on Nooga Radio and our wonderful website. It's simple, Noogaradio.com. It's simple. That's the thing I like about the site. You just show up. The stuff plays automatically on the website. What do you want me to do? It's a simple website. It's very straightforward, which I just think is rational. That's the best way to do it. Also, we have social media links down at the bottom of the page. So the SEC is an interesting conference because we have parity in the SEC. And this is how I know, by the way, that people don't want parity in sports. We have parity in the SEC. We have Alabama. That's not parity. But then we have everybody else. And that's parity, right? Who else is good in the SEC? Pick the best team in the SEC. Alabama. Okay, fine. Move them out of the way. Who's the second best team in the SEC? You know it's in the West. But that's about all you know. You could make a very good case for Auburn. You can make a very good case for LSU. Right? You could make a decent case for Georgia. I mean, they have a very experienced roster. They have a young up-and-coming quarterback. They have a second-year head coach who can improve on this. Possibly have the best roster in the East, going to come away with a pretty good record. Right? Like, I wouldn't say that Georgia's the second best team in the East, but you could argue it if you were really good at arguing. We have a lot of parity in the SEC once you move past Alabama. So you're trying to pick a dark horse in the SEC. Who could be in the SEC that surprises us, that just wins more games than we ever thought imaginable? Right? Who makes a run for Atlanta that we didn't think could? Right? And CBS Sports has a list. Their list has Kentucky and Missouri on it, which it's just tough. For me, it's tough to pick Missouri. Missouri was bad last year, right? They were 4-8. They played Eastern Michigan and Delaware State. That was 2 of their wins. Eastern Michigan and Delaware State. And look, maybe I'm just sleeping on Barry Odom as a coach. That's possible. I'm not saying that I'm the be all and end all of all this stuff. And I certainly don't watch very much Missouri football, but I just don't, how do you turn from 4-8? I think that Missouri ought to just aim for a winning record, right? They do have a pretty easy non-conference schedule. Missouri State, Purdue, Idaho, UConn. I mean, you ought to win all 4 of those games. At the very least 3 out of 4, but you ought to win all 4 of those games if you're Missouri. But they get Florida and they get Tennessee. They get both of them at home, but I don't see them beating Florida or Tennessee. And they get Auburn. Right? And then they've got the games against Kentucky and Vanderbilt, which you would think are winnable games, but those are on the road. So you're playing Kentucky and Kentucky, you're playing Vandy and Nashville. I don't like it. I don't like Missouri as a dark horse. I think they've got a lot of stuff going against them. They got to play their closer games on the road. Sure, they've got Tennessee and Florida at home, but like those are still teams that are superior to them. And then they catch Auburn, and their non-conference schedule is friendly enough. They're going to win 4 games there. They're probably going to split between Vandy or Kentucky. So they win 5, maybe 6 games. That's not a dark horse. That's an average football team. That's an average football team playing possibly not a winning record. That's not a dark horse. I don't know. I don't like that pick for a dark horse for them. And I like Kentucky even less. Right? But Kentucky's been improving. Kentucky might actually surprise us all. Kentucky has a stronger case than Missouri does. And they're an incredibly experienced football team, but they don't have as much experience as Tennessee is bringing back. They don't have as much experience as Georgia is bringing back. Even Missouri is bringing back more talent. So at this point, I don't know. Kentucky's too green to me in terms of overall talent from top to bottom of the roster. I don't think they have a chance to win the East. They have a better chance to win the East than Missouri does. And I think they have a better chance to win the East than like anybody in the West that's not Alabama, Auburn, or LSU. Right? Because like everybody else in the West is just kind of cooked already.
Arkansas is cooked. A&M's cooked. I'm not really a big fan of those situations. So in that regard, I suppose Kentucky's got as good a shot as anybody. But you tell me that they have to leapfrog Tennessee, Georgia, and Florida. I think you're insane. I don't think that's possible. Tennessee would have to be the default dark horse then. And I don't know how good I feel about it. But, I will say this for Tennessee. Like, there is, because I've been pretty doom and gloom, and I'm not. I'm not. I actually think the Vols are going to have a pretty decent season. Like I said, I think they find 8 games on their schedule, and I think 8 games is a fair thing to ask for this team with Quentin Dormady at quarterback, this quarterback. And I think Dormady's going to be good. I think Dormady's going to be probably even better than what people think he is going to be. But I just don't trust Butch Jones very much to make the right decisions to win games that are close. And I think Tennessee is going to be in a lot of games this year that are close. I think Tennessee needs a roster that blows people out if you're going to be successful with Butch Jones. But last year was a pretty good season last year before everything fell off. There were definitely a lot of injuries. I can't imagine that Tennessee is as injured this year as they were last year. You got to say they're in the mix for the East. You got to say they're in the mix for the East. The media at SEC Media Days ranked Tennessee 3rd in the division. The Vols received less first-place votes than South Carolina. But what do those voters know? These are the same people where somebody somewhere voted Vanderbilt as a possible national champion. Or not national champion, sorry, SEC champion. But didn't have them winning the East. You can't be an SEC champion without winning the East. That's nonsensical. It's not how math works. You got to win the division first before you can win the conference. Whoever did that should have their ability to vote in future SEC Media Days revoked. Just snatched away and never given back. Right? Just taken away. So anywho, Tennessee would be the obvious dark horse because they're the 3rd best team in the East, and the East is weak. And if Georgia should fail to live up to expectations, which is possible, right? Like if Jacob Eason doesn't grow, because to me, he's the linchpin in all of this for them. If Jacob Eason doesn't grow, we're going to probably blame Kirby Smart somehow, which I think would be ridiculous. But they're going to be held back by that. And if Malik Zaire gets injured and we don't get what we thought we were going to get out of Felipe Franks in Florida, then yeah, Tennessee could leapfrog them both, quite frankly. Tennessee does have kind of a tough schedule. They do play Alabama like they do every year, and they also catch LSU on the schedule as well. So that's, I mean, I'm not saying we can pencil that in for 2 losses, but I would pencil that in for 2 losses. I think despite all that, Tennessee could probably still win 8 games. Right? They have to play Florida in Florida. So I'm not a big fan of that. They get Georgia at home, though. So, yeah. Tennessee's probably got the best chance to win the East out of anybody. Will they? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't like the Florida on the road thing. I don't like facing Alabama and LSU on your schedule. I think that those are 3 losses. I don't see them beating Florida again. They could beat Georgia at home. They could beat Georgia at home. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I love science. When I was a kid, science was my jam. Because I read a ton of books, right? Like my parents were not big TV people. We watched the news a lot in my house. And when you're a kid, there's nothing that is death to you more than the news. There's nothing cool or interesting about the news when you're like 8. Okay? There's nothing that kills your soul more than Dad's home and he turned on CNN. Like there's nothing that destroys you more than that. You don't, like, TV is supposed to be fun. Everything that I did involving a TV when I was a kid was cartoons and video games. I wasn't interested in the news. As a result, I read a lot of books for my own personal entertainment because the TV was not about to be open for me. Like once Dad sat down to watch the TV, if he wasn't watching sports, I wasn't interested in what he was interested in, like not at all, right? So for me, I read a lot of books, and I liked books about space, and I liked books about dinosaurs. Like you gave me that. Also, there was the Pokemon craze when we were all kids, and I didn't really get into Pokemon until a little bit later in my life because my parents were not really sure about the Pokemon. They just weren't willing to sign up for it. So dinosaurs wound up being my Pokemon. Because, I mean, the concept still works out to be more or less the same. Here are these creatures that do not exist in the world you exist in, and they have these ridiculous names. And they all look weird and funky and odd to you. So the concept of dinosaurs instead of Pokemon, to me, worked out to be more or less the same when I was like 8 years old. And I remember when Jurassic Park came out. That was like one of my favorite movies, right? Jurassic Park was great. I rewatched it, by the way. Still holds up. But one of the best scenes, well, not one of the best scenes, really, all of the best scenes involved either the Velociraptors or the T-Rex for obvious reasons. Because what's more awesome than a T-Rex, right? And Jeff Goldblum running away from a T-Rex. Like that to me, that was my childhood. And now scientists are learning all of these things about dinosaurs, and it's ruining it for me. It's actually ruining it for me because they're looking at the skeletal structure of the T-Rex, and they have learned. Scientists claim that they have learned that the T-Rex really couldn't run. Right? T-Rexes just kind of moved. They walked very fast. It was a speed walking situation. Now they would still be able to catch things because they're enormous, right? It's not possible for them to really miss their prey. They're gigantic. But the idea that the T-Rex could not run is saddening because the whole idea behind being afraid of a T-Rex, especially when you're watching Jurassic Park and your imagination's going wild, is that the T-Rex can run. I think they've taken away the Tyrannosaurus Rex running from me. Okay? These are the same people that have taken away Pluto as a planet. These are the same people who have taken away velociraptors from me because they were like, oh, velociraptors weren't 9 feet tall. They were more like 5 feet tall, right? Some velociraptors were the size of chickens. And they weren't babies. That was a full-size velociraptor, was the size of a chicken. Now, I don't want to hear all this. How about we just get science to just stop explaining stuff from the past? Okay? Why don't you work on stuff that we don't know yet? Shouldn't you be solving cancer or something? Ruining my childhood retroactively. As if Hollywood isn't doing that enough. Now, between science and Hollywood, I don't have a childhood left because I like Transformers, and I can now no longer like Transformers because they made 17 of them. I can now no longer like the Tyrannosaurus Rex because apparently it couldn't run. Pluto's not a planet. It's an X-planet or whatever the scientific name for the thing is. Like, I'm just tired. I'm just tired of stuff from my childhood just being ripped from me. I don't want to hear about how millennials have it good because the only thing that we've had ever since we became adults was people ripping our childhood from us, right? You grew up liking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, so what happens? They turn it into a Michael Bay movie. Right. That's the only thing that's happened to me. I don't know where all these participation trophies that everyone's talking about is coming from. The only thing that happened to me was my childhood is just getting torn to smithereens by scientific discoveries and Hollywood movies. Not a fan. I am not a fan. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So there's some interesting things out there in the world of endorsements, in the world of athlete endorsements, especially when it comes to football players. Because football players are the athletes that when you see them in commercials, they have to wear their own jersey because you do not know who they are, right? Football players and baseball players. I actually don't know why this happens with baseball players because you can see their face. Like, I know what Bryce Harper and Mike Trout look like. You can see them. Why does Mike Trout have to wear his own jersey? He's the best player in baseball, and we can't find a way to market Mike Trout. But regardless, football players, it makes more sense. They wear these helmets and masks, and you just can't see their face. So a lot of football players wind up endorsing things that have their name. Khalil Mack, who is a very good offensive lineman. Great with the Raiders right now. Khalil Mack endorses Mack trucks. Now, I didn't realize that Mack trucks were a market that required so many commercials that you actually needed a football player to endorse you. But Khalil Mack endorses Mack trucks, which to me is a no-brainer. And I remember years and years ago when Michelle Wee joined the LPGA Tour, that the Sony PlayStation 3 had come out at the time, and the Nintendo Wii came out. And I thought, well, wow, Michelle Wee ought to endorse the Wii. And then she went with the PlayStation 3, and I thought, but your name, though, you have the name that endorses this product. You really ought to endorse this product. And I just thought that was a missed opportunity. But here's something that is not a missed opportunity. Michigan tight end, who was, by the way, the tight end of the year in college, Jake Butt, spelled exactly like how you think it is spelled, Jake, B-U-T-T, Jake Butt, has a deal with Charmin, the toilet paper company. Now, to me, this is genius. This is absolutely glorious. I'm actually looking forward to the Charmin Jake Butt ads. They better have them. They better exist, okay? They better exist. Nothing makes me happier and more excited than the prospect of Jake Butt in a Charmin ad. Yes. Is it potty humor? Yes. Is it low-hanging fruit? Absolutely. And I feel zero shame in my excitement over that particular endorsement combination. Someone needs to give the people over at Charmin an award, okay? I hope Jake Butt comes out and has the greatest rookie season a tight end has ever had, so that we can get more Charmin ads involving Jake Butt. Also, I don't know if I've ever repeated a player's name more than Jake Butt's name, but it's a great name. He's with Charmin? Who dreamed that up, and where do they live so that I can go thank them for making that happen? Also, Forrest Lamp, who is also a rookie, endorses Lamps Plus, which is not as fun as Jake Butt endorsing Charmin, but is pretty fun. And Taco Charlton, whose name is not Taco, but his nickname is Taco, endorses Taco Bueno. We've got a few people with some nice names, some nice endorsement names going on. Nothing's going to be cooler than Charmin and Jake Butt now, though. Nothing. That to me is absolutely incredible. And nobody got to me on social media here, so that means that this entire show went correctly, which is fine. The Braves, I believe, continue to play the Cubbies tonight. And I mean, they've been playing really well. I declare them no longer an abomination. You can go watch them now. Right? I believe that they lost to the Cubs today, 8-2. They're not an abomination, though. The Cubs are just hot right now. Even though Kyle Schwarber can't hit anything. Braves play the Dodgers tomorrow, though. That should be fun. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Thank you for listening to me today. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Essential oils are an overlooked benefit. They're a remedy for allergies, sinuses, headaches, and sleep problems. Aches and pains? Let me help you live a better life. Hi, Loretta Lynn here. It's a free consult. Call me today. Look, I'll even give you a free bottle of essential oil. 423-605-4719. Loretta Lynn's Essential Oils. They've been around for thousands of years. They can even be an alternative to pesticides in your garden. Call today. That's 423-605-4719 and take control of your health.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
The Homeschool Expo is just ahead, Friday and Saturday at Camp Jordan. It's the biggest education event of the year. Dozens of workshops, 70 exhibitors, math, writing, software, books, English, piano, colleges, history, free personal advice, education experts everywhere. You name it, we've got it. Go to csthea.org, csthea.org, 9 to 6 Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday.
This is Thomas DeMoss with Keller Williams Realty. I am a realtor in Chattanooga. We list and sell homes, work with buyers, work with home sellers. I have been involved in real estate for over 10 years. My background is as a real estate investor. That is what I bring to the table, is that real estate investor mindset. My job is to help you sell your house for the most money, employing the best marketing strategy and walking you through what can be a rather stressful process. So we are encouraging people who are on the fence or even thought about selling their house to give us a call. There's no obligation. We're just here to kind of have a conversation, let people know what the process is like, what the market is like, what values they can expect to receive. We work with buyers as well. I also have a buyer's agent that works exclusively with my buyers because we want to give our clients as much attention as we can. My cell phone number is 423-364-0028. Our website is northriverpropertygroup.com. That's northriverpropertygroup.com. We'd love for you guys to call us.
And now to our reporter in the field.
We asked Ray at Ray's Plumbing what's important for homeowners to know.
Some field line systems can cost upwards of $10,000. The bottom line is to save yourself money down the road. I would definitely recommend everybody with a septic